Okay, guys, so the IPL is over and we are now going to head towards the ICC T20 World Cup. And for that, we have with us our esteemed guest from Down Under, from Sydney, Andrew Menners. Hi, Menners, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
All good, Menners. So, did you watch the IPL final, Menners?
I did indeed. I stayed up to watch Pat Cummins versus Mitchell Stark, and it was a fantastic performance by KKR. They dominated from start to finish. And it just, you look at a player like Mitchell Stark, and he really does save his best performances for the big games. And he was devastating early. And yeah, KKR get the chocolates, and Pat Cummins and Travis Head go home losing finalists.
Well, you see, there are a lot of conversations going around here. The narrative is that the strongest narrative here is that there's no Indian player who is part of the T20 World Cup that featured in the IPL final. On the other end of the spectrum, the two most expensive buys of this season were both part of the IPL. And, Andrew, it's like a lot of Indians are quite happy that the Sunrisers lost because they had two of the Australian players who I think broke the Indian hearts in the 2023 World Cup final. That is Travis Head and Pat Cummins. So there are a lot of memes going around that whatever it is that the team that Pat Cummins and Travis Head represent, they have lost. So they're pretty happy about it. What do you have to say about that?
I was quietly going for KKR as well. I really like Mitchell Stark. I think he's a very understated character, but he does give his all. He's been very committed to Australian Test cricket for a long time, and yeah, I was really happy to see him get one over his Australian captain and teammate Pat Cummins, and of course Travis Head as well. And from what I know of their relationship, I'm sure Mitchell Stark will be enjoying that victory.
I mean, talking about Mitchell Stark, Manners, this guy was not part of the IPL for almost 7 to 8 years. He was prioritizing international cricket and, of course, a bit of break as well. And then suddenly he comes up and delivers these impactful performances. What does it say about Mitchell Stark as a T20 bowler?
Well, he's just rises to the big occasion. He just gets better when the pressure's on. And that is the true testament of a champion. You go back over history of cricket, the big players, Viv Richards, Sachin Tendulkar, Shane Warne, Glenn McGrath, Virat Kohli, they all step up in the big moments. And, Mitchell Stark was criticized at times during the IPL for inconsistent performances, but he clicked in the big games, and that delivery in the first over to get Abhishek was just incredible. So terrific stuff.
Yes, great. So now, with the IPL done and dusted, Manners, we now look forward to the T20 World Cup. And
Mm.
Menace, this is an ICC event, so I don't think anybody else except Australia is going to win, right?
Well, we have a chance to make history, and if we win this tournament, we'll hold all three ICC titles at once: the Test World Championship, the 50 over World Cup. So, there's a real chance for Australia to etch its name in history. So I guess, we'd be feeling very confident, and, probably as an Indian supporter yourself, you're probably not expected to win because you know that, in these ICC events, India struggles.
Thanks for giving me that, Andrew. But I guess maybe during the course of this podcast, I'll get back to you on this. But yeah, I mean, sticking to Australia, Menace, it's like, when the Aussies won the 2023 World Cup, there were a lot of theories that were thrown around as to why the Aussies win so many ICC events. It's in their genes, it's in their blood. Something happens when it comes to the ICC event. What is your personal take on why is it that Australia over the years have been very successful at ICC events?
Well, I do think there is something to an inner belief that has come with, a series of successes at the World Cup. Probably going back, to 87 when, that famous win in India against England. And then, you jump forward to 1999 and a hat trick of World Cup titles. So I think, there is, an inner belief that Australian teams lift at the major tournaments. But I also think the facts are we've just had a lot of very good players. And, you look at that 99 to 2007 run, just, a streak where Australia had probably two teams that could have played international cricket. And then right now in 2023, that team is stacked full of champions, four great bowlers, some champion batters. So I think, you put the two together and it's a powerful force. And yeah, and India has it, a lot of pressure on them when they go into these tournaments, and conversely, if you start losing, it can feed into itself as well. So, yeah, Australia champion players, but also it's in our DNA to win big events, and I don't think that's just in cricket. I think Australians back themselves in all sporting events to punch above their weight, and cricket's no different.
Okay, so Menace, looking at the Aussie squad for the 2024 World Cup, we have Mitchell Marsh as captain and a lot of host of all-rounders in the team.
Mm.
You look at Marcus Stoinis, Maxwell. The major names are all there. Anyone that you felt was sort of a left field selection, or maybe someone that you were not expecting in the squad?
Look, I don't think there was any people that I weren't expecting. I thought Nathan Ellis was probably one. Maybe a couple of other bowlers could have interchanged there, a Sean Abbott or someone, but they went for Nathan Ellis. So, but I like that selection. I also think, Jake Fraser McGurk was a player who was left out, who might have squeezed his way in there,
Mm-hmm.
because, he was so outstanding in the IPL, and would love to have seen him at the top of the order, but he didn't make it. But no real surprises in a squad of 15. There's not a lot of room. I do think Cameron Green's a very important player in the squad for sure.
Um, well, you talk about Cameron Green, but I'd like you to shed some light on David Warner now. This is going to be his last
Mm.
tournament and has had a very lean IPL, has was also left out because of injury. How do you see David Warner's tournament panning out? Do you think that he will go out with a bang or with a whimper?
Oh, it's a tough one. You never want to write off a player like Warner because he's such a, got such a, mongrel enemy. He always gets up for the fight. But I'm leaning towards going out with a whimper. Usually, when a player goes on for one tournament too long, they sort of fade out. And I have a feeling this might be one tournament too far for David Warner. He is carrying that hand injury that restricted him during the IPL. So, it doesn't augur well for him. And I look back at Aaron Finch, who played in the 2022 T20 World Cup for Australia. And, he was just pretty diabolical that tournament with the bat. Played one of the slowest innings in international T20 history, and so I'm leaning towards Warner going out with the whimper. But as I said, never write off a champion. He still could come good, but I think actually Jake Fraser McGurk probably should have slotted in there at the top of the order with Travis Head.
Mm. Okay, I'm going to put you on spot and tell me where will
I like
Australia
it.
finish?
Yeah, good question. Oh dear. I think we're going to win it. I think we're going to win it all. I mean,
Okay.
T20 cricket's hard to predict, but this team is a team of champions. I think the players that didn't do well in the IPL, like a Glenn Maxwell or a David Warner, I don't think that will translate into the T20 World Cup. I think it's a different game, going to be played on different pitches. And this team knows how to win. They're in great form. And I think, it'll be further evidence of why we're the greatest cricket nation in the world.
Okay, well, we shall see to that, Menace. Now, moving on to the English squad now.
God, here we
With
go.
we've got Jofra Archer back here, and I think he played pretty well in the T20 game that happened the other day against Pakistan. So,
Mm,
in the squad, Menace, they have Josh Butler, Moeen Ali, Jofra Archer, Johnny Bairstow, Harry Brooks, Sam Curran, Ben Duckett, Hartley. That's quite a interesting selection for me. Coming from a Test series. Will Jacks, Chris Jordan, Liam Livingston, Adil Rashid, Phil Salt, Reece Topley, and Mark Wood. So, how do you see the squad stacking out here?
Yeah, I actually quite like England. They're in Australia's group, and I was watching them play against Pakistan, and I do think it's a good looking team. Bringing back Archer gives them, that weapon with the new ball, and he can bowl at the death. Mark Wood can bowl quick. Never write off England. Obviously, the defending champions. I think Butler's a good skipper. So I'd be expecting them to make the semi-finals. I don't think they'll have a stinker like the 50 over World Cup. I don't think it'll be a disaster for them. So yeah, I'm expecting them to do pretty well, but maybe even challenge for the title.
Okay, and one key player that is not going to feature in this tournament and who was a central part of two of England's title wins in the last few years has been and is Ben Stokes.
Mm.
And so, do you think that England have sort of moved on from Ben Stokes in T20 cricket, or do you think that he would still be missed?
Oh, I think he's absolutely missed. I mean, he's a big game player. He's like a Mitchell Stark. He can win you a final. He can win you a semi final. So absolutely would be missed. And
Mhm.
he's committed to getting ready for the Test summer. He wants to get back bowling, and he's bowling pretty well in county cricket. But he's prioritised the red ball game, and absolutely huge loss for England.
Okay. Well, yeah. So you think that they're going to challenge for the title? So I think that's a pretty strong team as well. Moving ahead, Menace to New Zealand now.
Mm,
And when the Kiwi squad came out on the social media, there was a comparison between this team and the 2022 World Cup team and how similar they are, and basically just sort of reflected the consistency that the board and the selectors have over there. Maybe it's also because of the lack of players, probably owing to the population. But then, if you look at New Zealand squad manners, again, they always. I mean, earlier we used to say that they punch above their weight, but I would like to say that now they punch their weight in tournaments.
mm.
Gradually over the years, the quality of players has improved in New Zealand team. And now, if you look at it, we have the usual suspects. Kane Williamson is captain. Trent Bolt is back. Matt Henry is there. Ish Sodhi, Michael Bracewell. So a lot of the players that usually don't feature in the regular New Zealand bilateral series squad, especially I'm talking about Trent Bolt. Uh, how do you see Manners? I mean, this take on by the New Zealand Cricket Board to have Trent Bolt, allow him to play for all these leagues throughout the year, and while the others are playing, yeah, for New Zealand, then they sort of get sidelined or sidetracked, and Trent Bolt comes back into the team to play in the main tournament. Do you think that it's a fair system?
I do. And Trent Bolt's committed himself to New Zealand cricket for a long, long time. And the goal of international cricket should be to keep the best players playing. So by allowing Trent Bolt to make a living playing in franchises, but play for the big tournaments, I've got no problem with that. Cricket's moving that way anyway. So I think it's forward thinking from New Zealand.
No, but then what is your take on the players who do feature in the New Zealand squad for the year? How would they feel?
Bad luck. Well, bad luck. I mean, if they're good enough, then they'll get picked ahead of Bolt. And if Bolt's still better than them, then that's the reality. I mean, they should be lucky to get an opportunity when he's not there to prove themselves.
Okay, fair enough. So if you look at the Kiwi squad, Menace, how do you rate them? Do you think that there are any chinks in their
No, no, I don't think they're going. No, sorry, they're lot. I don't think they're a title winner. Usual Kiwis, they'll be punchy, they'll be plucky, they'll get a couple of wins here or there, but they're not going to win it. No way. I mean, when did New Zealand win anything apart from the World Test Championship against you lot? There's like two teams coming up against each other that can't win a ICC title, so one of them had to win. Um, but I just don't see them winning the T20 World Cup.
Okay, Menace, if you keep the history aside and ignore it for a
Mm.
while, what is that one reason apart from the fact that they just don't win ICC tournament? What is that one reason do you think that they cannot win this time?
No, I just don't think their batting's dynamic enough. I think we're going to see a really high scoring World Cup. And I just, like a player like Kane Williamson, should he even be there? I'm not sure he should be. As T20 moved past him, it's a bit like Steve Smith. Yeah, so I just don't think they've got the power that some of the other teams have. Australia is stacked with power. England, stacked with power. India, stacked with power. New Zealand, plucky, some good players, but I don't think they've got the quality that they've had in the past.
Okay, and now we move on to my country, that is India, and this is already has already announced that they are not going to win. But Menace, if you look at India's squad, again, I mean, a lot of debate and argument about whether Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli should be there in the squad or not.
Mm.
My personal opinion is that I don't know why we really highlight these two players when players like Ravindra Jadeja and Hardik Pandya haven't performed anything of note in many years of playing cricket, except a few performances here and there. So I don't know why they deserve a place in the team. But if you look at the squad, we have Rohit Sharma, Pandya, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Virat Kohli, Suryakumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, Sanju Samson, Shivam Dube, Jadeja, Akshay Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Chahal, Arshdeep Singh, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj. The first thing that I noticed when the squad came out, Menace, was that it's stacked with a lot of spinners. Um,
Mm.
how do you rate this Indian team, and what do you think their chances are?
It's a good question. Well, what do you think? I mean, I'm just gonna. What your as a big fan? How confident are you?
Okay, so whenever we go to a tournament now, it's like it's guaranteed that we will reach the knockouts at least. So I'm expecting them to reach the semis. But again, the kind of what the Indian team does on a big day is sometimes just fluff with the playing 11. They just don't come out with the proper playing 11 sometimes.
Mm.
And with too many spinners, I just feel that probably they're one seamer short. I don't think that with small grounds, especially in if you look at Barbados, which is going to host the final, if we reach the final, Barbados, the square boundaries are quite small, and I don't think that a spinner would probably be effective enough, unless of course the pitch is helping. But I think that on a big day, I have my fears whether the Indian batting will come good, because it's always been the batting that has let us down. So I'm hoping Virat Kohli's, I think hopefully the final T20 tournament that he's playing along with Rohit Sharma, I hope that they come good on the big day, because if they don't come good, then the younger lot is not able to lift their performance.
Because I look at that squad and I think, well, the selectors are clearly thinking that the pitches in the West Indies and the US are going to be slow, are going to turn, and you're right, they've got a lot of spinners there. Apart from Jadeja, Aksa Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Chahal. I mean, they are stacked. So they're banking on spinning slow wickets. And then you add in the experience of Virat Kohli, who is supremely good on those type of pitches where it's a slower, lower scoring T20s. A player like Kohli really can dominate fixtures like that. So I think it's a good looking team. It's aging, Sharma and Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Kohli, are well into the twilight of their career. But look, I wouldn't say it's a devastate, it's not an awesome looking team, it's not big, but also, as I said, if the conditions are slow and turning, they've got a great chance with that squad.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I just hope that on the big day, the bigger players perform, because unless that happens, I don't see them. And I have
Mm.
my
I
reservations.
hope I hope you get out of the group. You've got a very tough group. You might not make it out of the group because you're with Pakistan and Ireland, two very good teams. Then
And
you've got the USA and Canada. USA at home. Um, you say you'll make the knockout stage, but don't take it for granted. You might go home really early in that's the group of death.
that's a group of death. And of course, there's the USA defeated Bangladesh. I mean,
Mm.
they just defeated them in a recent T20 series. So yeah, I think more than Pakistan, I think the match against Ireland would be a tougher game for us, and I hope that we are able to give them a good run for their money.
I
So
hope so too.
Manners, these are according to me, the top four. Well, let's
Yeah,
see what
go.
happens. But then if we go down a bit, we have Pakistan and West Indies. And I would like you to wrap up this with these two teams. With all due respect for the other teams, I feel that these are the top six teams, according to me, that will
Yeah.
probably challenge. So, and West Indies purely because they're playing at home. So, let's go with Pakistan, and they were one of the last teams to announce their squad. So a lot of things keep happening with Pakistan cricket manners, and the board there is quite dynamic and fluid in terms of its working. So we have Babar Azam again as captain after a very brief stint for Shaheen Shah Afridi. Abrar Ahmed, Azam Khan, Fakhar Zaman. So they've included a few new players, but then the old ones like Mohammad Rizwan are still there, and some really old ones have come back like Mohammad Amir and Imad Wasim. On paper, always Pakistan looks good on the bowling front, but what is your take on this squad?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say I'm relieved we're not going through all 20 teams,
Okay.
because it would have been a long podcast because there's 20 teams now in this World Cup. So I'm glad we're just doing the top six. Pakistan. Pakistan have got a good team. They were in the final last time against England. I was at that final at the MCG. And I think the cornerstone of this Pakistan team is the new ball bowling. Shaheen Shah Afridi, Nazim Shah, Harris Ralph. Just a very good attack led by some, quality fast bowlers. Also, batters that do really well in this format. You mentioned them, Rizwan, Babar Azam. So I can see them, being very competitive. Again, is it a team I think can win the title? I'm not sure they can actually go all the way, but they did well to get to the final last time and very unpredictable. And I sort of put it up against that Indian squad we just looked at. Not a lot between them.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to a cracker between India and Pakistan at New York.
Mm.
But before that, as Menace said, that the tougher challenge for us will be Ireland. So hope we get through Ireland first. Yeah. Okay. So the last team that I want to focus on, Menace, is West Indies, and I was quite tempted
Yep.
to put South Africa in place of West Indies because I mean, if you look at
Mm.
South African squad, it's stacked with power players, power hitters, but just because on the basis of what's recently happened with West Indies defeating South Africa, they clean sweeping the series, although albeit with probably a second string South African side, but the other fact that West Indies are playing at home, they really genuinely have some wonderful players for this format. So that's why I'm sort of putting them slightly ahead of South Africa, but you never know. But yes, how do you see the West Indies squad? Manners, it's Roman Powell who's captain. He was with the Rajasthan Royals. Didn't really have a wonderful tournament over there. But again, Shimron Hetman is there, Jason Holder, Sheho, Pakil Hussain, Shamar Joseph, Brandon King, Gudakesh Moti, Nicholas Puran, Andrew Russell, Shafin Rutherford, Romario Shepherd, Johnson Charles, and Roston Chase. How do you see this team?
Look, I think you've got them. You've got them ranked about right. I think they'll be competitive, obviously being at home. But yeah, I can't see them really challenging for maybe even a top four spot in the end. I just don't think they've got the depth in the squad. Some good all rounders, some good power, but do they have the quality? I'm not sure. Nicholas Poran will need to have a big tournament. But yeah, I think you've got them about right. I'm really looking forward to seeing Andre Russell and Jason Holder. Or is Holder withdrawn? No, he's been withdrawn. So yeah, that's a big loss. Losing Holder, that's a big loss.
Well,
So yeah,
not I'm aware of, but probably we can get back to that. Yeah.
no, he's withdrawn. I'm on the website. Yeah, I read that today. So
Okay.
yeah, that's a big loss. So I don't know who they're going to replace Holder with, but yeah, I can't see them winning it. I can't even see them making the semi-finals really.
Okay. Well, with this, we come to the wrap of a very quick preview of the T20 World Cup. Maybe if Manners has time for us at a later stage, we'll probably do some of the other teams. But then, Manners, just to wrap up on the format of this tournament, we have a group stage followed by super
Another group stage.
on the group stage. And I was talking to one of the guests on an earlier podcast about the formats of this Super 8, Super 10, and Super 12 that ICC has, and I understand or the reason. They want to make as many games as possible, which with India and other teams to make it more economically rewarding and beneficial. But then, I mean, why is the ICC averse to having a sort of a quarterfinal? I mean, we've tried quarterfinals formats in some of the ODI World Cups that have happened over the years, but still, ICC was quick to discard that and bring another group stage after another group stage. Don't you think, Menace, that it would be exciting if after one group stage we straight away head to the knockouts, have a quarterfinal, then a semi-final?
Oh, absolutely. You could even do it like more even. Yeah, absolutely. You could do that. But I mean, this World Cup's unique because they've got 20 teams. So in the past, they had like a pre-qualifying tournament. that would sort of be played in the lead up to it. Now it's all in at once. And there is a little bit of they're trying to make up for the fact the 50 over World Cup has been so limited with teams. So they've opened it up to 20 teams. And you're right, then we go into a second group, which is, as you say, a way of guaranteeing India more games on television. And that's just the bottom line, unfortunately. It's just the economic reality. I love quarterfinals. But I think this is going to be a pretty exciting second stage. I think we'll get some good cricket. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this format.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, even I'm happy that we have about 20 teams. So yeah,
Mhm.
with this, Menas, we come to this podcast. Thank you so much for your time, Menas, and look forward to chatting with you while the tournament goes on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great to talk to you.
Okay, see you guys till the next episode of the SNS Cricket Diaries. Bye.